reparations. We have to repair the breach. There are people who've lost their husbands, their wives, their children to this war. For a war based on lies, it's like this monstrous crime that's been committed. There's another thing we have to do. We have to make sure the Iraqi people can control their own oil. Let me share with you a story. In the Democratic caucus, about a couple months ago, I stood up and I said, you know, we're saying that we want the Iraq government to meet certain benchmarks so that they get our continued support. I said, has anybody really read these? Quiet. And I said, do you know that one of the benchmarks requires Iraq to privatize its oil? A couple of people called out, no, it doesn't. I said, yeah, read it, okay? And so the next meeting of the Democratic caucus, I stood up and I said, why are we, Democrats, silent when the administration is calling for the privatization of Iraq's oil as a means of, quote, reconciliation, unquote? Why aren't we challenging this? Somebody called across the room, you're lying. Really? People are so asleep at the switch in Washington that they let a war happen based on lies and are ready to let the Iraq people be undermined a second time by having their oil stolen. Iraq's sitting on anywhere between $20 and $30 trillion worth of oil. And so they have to make their own decisions about their oil, and they can't do it under U.S. occupation. I mean, this actually is what Maliki's saying in Iraq. Now, that's about Iraq, and I wanted to spend that time giving you some background on it. So, you know, there's people who say we have to stay there. No, we don't. Who do we have to stay there for? The oil companies? The contractors? For our national honor? No. But as we get out, I'm not talking about ending this war in Iraq. This takes us to a broader subject. I'm talking about ending war as an instrument of policy. Now, what does that mean? Some people say, oh, you won't defend America. Oh, yes, I will. I wouldn't hesitate to defend our country. Right after 9/11, I voted with every other member of Congress for the United States to respond to those attacks, because I think we have a right to defend America, and as a matter of fact, the UN Charter recognizes that every nation has an inherent right of self-defense. But when it came to Iraq, that was something different. And a president better know the difference between defense and offense. You better know the difference between defense and offense. Let me tell you something. I was a third-string quarterback, varsity quarterback in high school on a not very good football team. And I knew the difference between defense and offense. That's how I got the play. Okay? And so we have a president that doesn't know the difference between defense and offense. And we have a Congress that doesn't know the difference between defense and offense. But I knew the difference. We went on the offense against Iraq, a nation that did not attack us. Now, why did we do that? Because of a certain type of neoconservative philosophy that says peace through strength. Really? What does that mean? Unilateralism, preemption, first strike. That's peace through strength. Shoot first, ask questions later. Do unto others before they do unto you. It's an approach that says that America must keep reaching and expanding and controlling empire, as if we don't have enough money to take care of things, as if we have enough money to take care of things here at home. I mean, if we can keep doing that, then I want someone to tell me why we're borrowing money from China to pay for this war in Baghdad. So I'm talking about the end of this neoconservative approach, which doesn't believe in diplomacy, which doesn't believe in international law, which believes that America is a law unto itself. And what goes in its place? Well, it's very simple. I've turned the neoconservative approach on its head. And I talk about strength through peace. No unilateralism, no preemption, no first strike. Diplomacy, open dialogue, leaders to leaders, heart to heart, eye to eye. This kind of approach pursues what FDR called years ago, when he understood the great tragedy of war, he talked about the science of human relations. We have to believe in our capacity to talk to each other. We have to end war. War will put an end to us. We have to understand our future and the future of our children and grandchildren really depends on us being able to negotiate a complex world without putting a gun on the table or putting a nuclear weapon on the table. And so the Kucinich administration is really talking about a different role for America in the world, not as a nation above nations, but a nation among nations. I see the world as one. I see the world as being interconnected and interdependent. And because I understand the world that way, I know that we have much in common with people everywhere. Any one of us who's done any traveling throughout this country knows how there's an underlying unity in America. It really is. It really is amazing how much we have in common. Now, you can grow up in a certain part of a city and believe that people on the next block are different, right? We all have experienced that. In the city of Cleveland, it's divided east and west by a river. You grow up on the east side and you believe, well, people on the west side are different. On the west side, people on the east side are different. But the truth of the matter is we have so much in common. And as you grow and have the opportunities to travel and travel the world, you learn how much people the world over are alike, whatever their races, colors, or creed. That's the whole point of getting an education, really. You start to understand how much we have in common. And what's happened in our time is that we've seen this divide where we're told that we're so different and we're really taught to fear. We're encouraged to fear. I want to break those shackles of fear, which are really imprisoned so many of our citizens in a kind of a condition of immobilization and kind of a withdrawal from the world around us. FDR again, right after the Depression, said we have nothing to fear but fear itself. So I want to call forth the courage of the American people, because it's in every one of us. Just a little bit of courage can change this country and give us a chance to look at what we need to address here at home. Matters in healthcare and education and housing, job creation, new energy policies, all these things I want to talk about in the Q&A. But I wanted to start this discussion in a philosophical way to let you know that I'm thinking about what America's role will be in the world, how we can work with the world community to affirm international law, to regard the treaties that are out there, to make sure that we look for ways of participating in security and stabilizing the world. We don't have to take on that role for the world, but we have to participate with other countries in doing it. This world today isn't so much threatened by other nations against nations as it is by groups within nations. Well, it's obvious that we have to cooperate to meet those challenges. The United States cannot wage a preemptive war against terror wherever it pleases. All that's going to do, you're ruining our democracy, my friends. Our country's being ruined by people who don't have any respect for the Constitution, who don't care about civil liberties, who don't care about fiscal integrity, who don't care about honor, who don't care about the truth. All they care about is war and the profits for their friends. Upon my oath of office, let me tell you, that changes. We're going to reclaim this country. We're going to restore this country. And we're going to lift this country up to a place of honor and respect among all nations of the world, so that wherever people go, we'll be proud that we're from the United States. And wherever we go, people will say, we love America. Thank you very much. Let's have questions, and it could be about anything I talked about or anything you want to talk about. Yes, sir, you have a hat on.
I have a hat. Freebie. Freebie from the internet.
Turn around and show me your hat. It's really interesting.
Okay, if elected,
yes.
Right? And you're sworn in,
yes.
Will you abide by the Constitution?
Yes, yes.
Because we have so many politicians in there that refuse to even think about it, I think.
Well, this question that this gentleman raised about the Constitution, we can't take the Constitution lightly because that's what the nation was founded on. That's why I introduced articles of impeachment with respect to the Vice President, because I believe he violated his oath of office when he lied about a cause for war against Iraq, when he said Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. Now, to me, that Constitution is a sacred text. You know, we're